and welcome to Meal of the Week. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a cinnamon layer cake. It's a perfect cake for all the upcoming holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, so let's get started. So we're going to start off with our wet ingredients. So I'm going to start off by adding in 3/4 of a cup of melted unsalted butter, 1/4 cup of oil, a cup of buttermilk, and 4 eggs. So now that I've added those all to the bowl, I'm just going to let those mix together. So now I'm going to add in a few more ingredients. I'm going to add in 2 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of ground cinnamon, and 1.5 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. So I'm just going to add those in and stir them around. Alright, so now that we've added in our wet ingredients, let's add in our dry ingredients. So I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to add in 3 cups of cake flour. Now, if you don't have cake flour, you can make cake flour by adding in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch for each cup of all-purpose flour you're using. So in this case, since I'm using 3 cups of flour, I have added in 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to turn the all-purpose flour into cake flour. So I'm just going to gradually add this in. A little bit more. And now I'm going to add in this last little bit. So our cake batter is done, and now I'm going to put it in a cake pan. Alright, so now that we've finished our cake batter, we're going to transfer the cake batter to 2 9-inch cake pans. So I've already greased these cake pans with vegetable oil, but there's one more important step that we need to do before we put the cake in the pans. So a lot of times, if you're only using oil to grease your pans, your cake will get stuck to the center of the pan because the oil is not enough to keep it from sticking to the center of the pan. So one thing that helps with this is to, in addition to coating your pan with oil, is to also coat it with flour. So I'm just going to take some flour and sprinkle it in the pan. And then I'm going to tap the pan and move it around so that the entire pan is coated with flour. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the second pan. I'm just going to sprinkle some flour in there. And then I'm just going to tap it. and move it around so that the entire pan is covered in flour. And I'm just going to shake out that bit of excess flour there. So now I can transfer the cake batter to the pan. So I'm just going to put half in each pan. Alright, so I'm just going to spread this around so that it's evenly distributed. And now I'm going to put this in a 350-degree oven and bake it for 25 to 30 minutes, and then I'll be back to show you the next steps. Alright, so now we're going to get started on our icing. So we're going to make a cinnamon buttercream frosting. So first, I'm going to start off by adding in 1.5 sticks of butter. And this is softened, unsalted butter. And now I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'm just going to stir that together in the mixer. Next, I'm going to add in 4 cups of powdered sugar. I'm just going to stir that in there. Finally, I'm going to add in 1/4 of a cup of milk. So I'm just going to gradually add that to our icing. Alright, so our icing is done, and now we'll frost our cake. Alright, so now that the cake and the icing is ready, I'm going to show you how to frost a cake. Now, this is something that a lot of people struggle with and that I've struggled with in the past, but I'm going to show you how to do it really easily. So, first I'm just going to take this offset spatula and I'm going to run this along the edge of the pan to loosen the cake from the cake pan. And now I'm just going to flip it over, and it comes right out because we put flour on the bottom of the pan to keep it from sticking. So now, as you can see, when you take a cake out of the oven, it has a slight dome shape. It's slightly curved, and this is not really a good shape for stacking, because if you stack a dome on a cake that has a bit of a dome shape, on top of another layer of cake that has a dome shape, what's going to happen is the top layer of cake is going to break. So what you have to do is flatten your cake. So what I'm going to do is take a serrated knife and just cut off the top part of the cake so that it's flat. I'll just take that off and put it on the side. Alright, so now that we have flattened our cake and gotten rid of the dome part, I've got a little bit right here that needs to come off. But now that we've flattened our cake, what we're going to do is flip it upside down. So now we have a nice flat base for our second layer of cake to go on top of. So now we're going to frost this first layer of cake and then put the second layer on top. we're going to repeat those steps with our second layer of cake. So I'm going to take my offset spatula and run it along the edge of the cake pan. Flip it over. Okay, this one is sticking a little bit more. So let's see if we can get this to come out. I'm going to flip it over. There we go. It came right out. So next, we are going to trim off the top layer of the cake to so that it has less of a dome shape and is more stable. I'm just going to take these cake shavings and put them over here. Alright, so now I'm going to flip this layer of the cake upside down as well and put it on top of our first layer of cake. And you see, since it's not a dome, since both layers of cake are flat, the cake is nice and stable. So now I'm just going to stick some icing on top. And I'm just going to spread that around. You want to make sure that you can get icing all the way to the edge of the cake, because you don't want the edges to be bare. Alright, so now I'm going to put some icing on the sides of the cake. I'll just stick that bowl right here. I'm going to put it on with the rubber spatula and then smooth it with my offset spatula. Our cake is done, and as you can see, it is very delicious. And this is a perfect recipe for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, because it has the nice fall winter flavor of the cinnamon. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I can't wait to see you again next week.